Hello and welcome once again to another episode of the Rotarians of Karen, specifically episode number 4. And this is the first one of 2024. And our very special guest today is our fearless leader, our president of the Rotary Club of Karen, Kui Githui. Karibu sana Kui.
Thank you. So nice to be here.
Finally.
Yes.
This has been a long time coming.
Right.
And as we were discussing earlier, it's been 7 months since you ascended?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're just finishing the 7th month.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, Kui, I'd like us to start from early days because I think whenever we do the Rotarians of Karen, we really want the backstory to know who is this person that became a Rotarian. In your case, also became a president in a relatively short period of time of our club. Who's Kui, going back to early days, growing up, school? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So I'm a last born of 3.
I didn't know that.
I have 2 elder brothers.
Oh, wow.
And my mom is just always like, why are you always bullying your brothers?
What?
Yeah.
Even today?
Well, I'm trying to temper things, but I'm
Okay.
sure they disagree.
So you're the baby sis of the brothers?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know whether for some reason I felt like I needed to, like always prove myself and that kind of stuff. And
Okay.
so throughout my life, I've just always been, trying to keep up with them. So if you look at the bottom of me, I'm a tomboy.
Oh.
Yes.
I never picked that up.
Because after, growing older, I'm like, hiya, I wear dresses and clean up a bit.
Okay.
So I went to school in Nairobi, both primary and high school. And I actually studied from 5 and 6 on a basketball scholarship.
Oh, really?
In
Hang on
St.
a second.
Austen's.
Back up a second. Are you trying to tell me play basketball?
All 5'4" of me plays basketball.
Which position?
Point guard. The
Where?
only one I can with all this height.
Wow. And how did you get to basketball because of your siblings?
Yes. So, because basketball is one of those sports you have to have someone to play with,
Yes.
And so my brother would want to show off his and-one skills and practice on me. And I'm like, hold up, I can also do that. And so I picked up basketball like maybe age 10. So, or earlier than that. So by the time I was getting into high school, I was in Moi Girls, Nairobi, I was already playing for some time. And so as soon as I joined, got into the A team and carried forward with it. I usually say, one, if I grew tall enough and
Yes.
if basketball in Kenya paid enough,
Yes.
that's what I'd be doing.
That's where the passion is.
That's where the passion
Does
is.
that mean you follow the NBA? You see what's going on there?
No, I do not export my eyeballs. I go to Nyayo Stadium
Really?
and watch games. Like
Local
tomorrow, 4
games.
p.m. we'll be there.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's I watch local games. I've served on the national team basketball
No way.
board. Yeah, well, during COVID, they set up a team to ensure the basketball teams make it for the national competitions. And so I am so involved in basketball, like it's one of those things that's just a passion.
Wow.
Yeah, and so, I studied in a university in Malaysia.
Okay.
Yeah, where I did telecommunication engineering.
Okay, again, back up. How does one choose to become a telecommunications engineer? How does that even happen?
So I'm generally a pragmatic person.
Yes.
So for me, it was, what am I strong in? It was calculations. Theory, I struggle. And so I'm like, because I can, work around the calculations. So that's how I now started checking out, okay, what would be relevant.
Okay.
And my dad was an electrical engineer.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'm not going to do that. That's for older people. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is the in thing? And
Yes.
so I came across telecommunication engineering,
Wow.
which I pursued, came back to Kenya. I was hell-bent on coming back to Kenya. So came back, joined a company called Linksoft.
I remember Linksoft.
Yeah, climbed up towers with them.
I remember, yes.
Both in Kenya and Tanzania.
Wow.
And then I joined Safaricom, where in total, I've worked in Safaricom for 6 years.
Okay.
In and out.
Okay.
And I'm now, transitioned to the financial technology space.
Okay, the fintech space, so to
Yes,
speak. Okay.
fintech, because of M-Pesa.
You also had a stint at Microsoft at some point, right?
I did. And so my career journey is interesting. I did Safaricom for 3 years, and then I started my own private
Oh, the
consultancy for
hustle.
project management. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And then I went back to Safaricom,
Okay.
where I worked with the strategy team and then the innovation team. And then I was called by Microsoft, actually, when, they were setting up the Africa Development Center.
Oh, the ADC, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, would you be interested? And I'm like, I did not study computer engineering,
Okay.
And they're like, no. I mean, we've seen your experience. Just, come and try. Anyway, you'll go through the interview process.
Was that exciting? A brand, a name like Microsoft?
It is.
Yes.
So what was more exciting to me is I wanted to understand how global organizations work. So because I'd done Safaricom at a local level and also regional level, because I worked on Ethiopia early days.
Oh, okay.
So I had seen what that looks like. So for me, the excitement was, okay, how do these brands have an impact globally?
Yes.
And so really exciting. I mean, the level of expertise that, I interacted with there, and even just to see, okay, how do you make that relevant in the African context? Yeah. So that was really a good stint.
Okay.
And then fortunately or unfortunately, I was laid off. I was impacted by the layoffs last year.
Okay.
It came at an interesting time because I had a strong desire to work for an organization that was, having a direct local impact.
Okay.
And so, in fact, earlier on in the year, I had been talking to one of my mentors, and I was like, I don't feel fulfilled. I'm happy. I just don't feel fulfilled.
Yes.
And I'd say Rotary played a part in that, because a lot of the projects we do are with the local people, the local schools, the traders in the market. And I'm like, okay, when I go to my day-to-day, I'm not touching on you guys at all. Okay, minus empowering the economy with my expenditure. But I really felt that I needed to work for an organization that was having a direct local impact. And so my mentor told me, do something about it. She was like, you mentioned something like this at some point last year. She's like, this year, do something about it. And so when the layoff came, I had just been approached by one of my former bosses from Safaricom.
Okay.
So he moved to a microfinance bank as a CEO.
Okay.
And he was putting together his team. And so he had asked me to come and join to lead the program management.
Wow.
And my transition was like,
pretty much instant, I imagine.
yes,
Yeah.
it was smooth. And so that's why I said fortunately or unfortunately. And so here I am today.
So I want to go back a little bit because I know you've invoked Rotary as being possibly a catalyst around what you do today for your work, your profession. And I remember even for me, as a Rotaractor many, many years ago, the things I saw in Rotaract and Rotary really sort of shaped my views around how we can help, serve community, the good feelings you get when you do things for the community and so forth. But I'd like to kind of come back a little bit and we talk a little bit about your exposure to Rotary. More importantly, how did you hear about it? How did you join our club? What was the inspiration to do so? So maybe let's talk a little bit about how you get into Rotary, how you become aware of it and so forth. Maybe we can start there.
All right. When I was in high school, I was part of the debate team.
Okay.
And at that time, Rotaract Club of Nairobi came to, interact with the debate team, and they had wanted to work with us. They would organize debates. Now I hear they do what are they called, career fairs. But then, so we would have debates around certain topics that would be organized by Rotarians, but then facilitated by Rotaractors.
Okay.
Right? And my eldest brother happened to be a Rotaractor.
No way.
Yeah.
It's in the family.
It is. And so, this is back when in the early 2000s. So fast forward to 2019, and we had a corporate club started in Safaricom.
I remember this.
Yes. And so as soon as I had Rotary, I could remember, it just clicked. We did this. And even back then with my brother, we did polio vaccination around Parklands area.
Okay.
And so for me, it was a no-brainer because I love giving, I love serving. I feel very fulfilled doing it.
Yes.
But I also love order. And Rotary has, it's very orderly.
It's structured.
It's structured. And so it was very easy for me to pick up on, what was happening. And so I joined the Rotary Club of Nairobi Connect.
At Safaricom.
The Safaricom one.
Yes.
So this is 2019. 2020 March enters COVID. And I'm like, I want, is Rotary doing anything? Is the district doing anything? I want to help.
Oh.
And so seconded to a committee, an emergency response committee that had been formed. I asked one question in the first call, that we joined, and the chairman was like, please join us and lead the needs assessment and disbursement. And I was like, okay. Another thing that I've learned, if it's roughly sounds, good to you or interesting, just say yes, you'll figure out how you'll do it.
Say yes and then work out the details.
Yeah, because then I was like, okay, then I will be committed. And I was to speak at MIT. So I had already taken 2 weeks leave. I was ready. So during that time, I fully committed to that committee. I must have spoken to like 100 presidents, because we were so, getting information from everywhere. Red Cross, where do we need to help and all these things. And so in all that coordination, I felt the need to just apply my skill in a relevant way in a club that would possibly need more of that skill.
I get you.
All right? Because you see, in a corporate space, you'll end up having many people of the same vocation serving. And so it almost can become an extension of work. So I was like, I still want to keep serving. I was working there, so I would still attend. But then I wanted to, stretch myself. So when, we're talking about over 22 million shillings disbursements, over 8 million hand washes, like coordinated. And I was so fulfilled with this Rotary life.
Yes.
And one time I just mentioned to one of the service project leads, so in Karen, and I was like, I'm considering changing clubs and I'm looking at the direction of heading home. She was like, you're not looking any further.
And who was this?
Margaret Gitonga, Rotarian Margaret Gitonga. She was a service project director.
Okay.
She said, in fact, I've been looking for someone to come and assist me in service projects. So I was like, okay. And that's how I transferred. So 2020, I became a member of the Rotary Club of Karen, and as an assistant service projects director. So the next year, service projects director. And then, like fate would have it, Rotarian Margaret was president-elect.
Yes, I remember this.
Yes, and I was the president nominee, so to come in after her. And she got work involvement that got her to step down. And so my year came fast forward. I was supposed to be the president next year.
I remember this. This is not uncommon, by the way.
Yes.
In my own Rotaract journey, that's exactly what happened.
Right.
I was meant to be like 2 years away or something, and then the person ahead of me pulled out, and guess what? I had to now become president a year earlier.
Yes.
But there's a common theme that I seem to see in every one of these conversations we have. everyone talks about that moment of truth where often in Rotary, responsibility is thrust upon you, or you accept typically more than you are ready for, but you still have to deliver. Do you think that's true?
It is very, very true. And in Rotary, you have to be ready to develop your leadership skills, develop, your project management, to develop PR, like you just have
Human
to be.
interaction skills.
Yes, that one,
Yeah.
especially, when you go out for these projects, you're going to these kids, you're going to like the Karen market area where
Yes.
you have to, interact with everyone. And it is a very common thing. And for anyone aspiring to be a Rotarian, and they've only attended meetings where people are seated in a room, please know that it's a place of rolling your sleeves and getting work done. One of the key things, in Rotary, we also ask, what's in it for me, right? Because, and it's not from a selfish angle, it's from an angle whereby you're a volunteer. What will keep you going? And if there's that thing for you, then it becomes easier to stay the course. And so for me, as I said, to join, my motivation was I love giving, I love structure.
Yes.
To stay, I work on developing my leadership skills all the time. So in Rotary, you have that opportunity left, right, center, right? Because you can see this is not even 1 year into Rotary, and I'm already assistant service project director.
Correct.
And then, the next year, just about 4 years in, and I'm president of,
Correct.
a club that has, now we are 80 members. So looking to develop my leadership skills is something that I'm very happy about joining Rotary, because there's so much training. There's formal training that we go through, and there's informal training where I sit down with Moses. I sit down with, past presidents of the club, district governors, and people who are, in high leadership positions, around the country. And you're able to learn something from, everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I try to be very intentional about that, because at the end of the day, the aim of Rotary is to be able to just build better humans for the world,
Correct.
And above that, it's to inject good leadership into communities. And that's why you see leadership training is like, it happens so much. I was making fun of one of our district trainer, because he posted a training at 8:30 a.m. on like the second weekend of January, and I'm like, dude, I thought we were in 2024. Hatulali.
Yeah.
We're up again on Saturday, but imagine you find yourself up, tuned in, and just learning from each other.
For me, again, going back to my own Rotaract experience, I remember that I was not really a social person that much, but I learned how to speak in front of people. I learned how to plan. I learned how to budget, how to make presentations to other Rotary clubs when we were, smaller Rotaractors. And I think for me, those become life skills. These are things you use in every aspect of your life. So
Yes.
in many ways, I think sometimes I feel that Rotary even gives more than we expect to each other, to us, because there are things that you take away that you use everywhere.
Right.
And I
Yes.
find that this is one of the perks or the benefits of being in Rotary. Are there any things that spoke to you or appealed to you about Karen in particular? Because I imagine you were interacting with all sorts of different clubs at the time when you were at Safaricom. Are there things that kind of appealed to you about this particular club?
Yes. Again, when we do the disbursement of, at that time we were doing hand washing stations, we were doing sanitizers, and so I was coordinating for all the clubs.
Correct.
Right, in Kenya. And there's a specific way in which the Rotarians in Karen were conducting the, like, right from the collection of the items to the distribution. I vividly remember seeing a picture because we would get feedback, we'd get reports. I remember seeing a picture of Rotarians from Karen in a police station.
Yes.
Hadi. I think it was either in Hadi or
Or the one at the roundabout there, yeah?
not that one. It was not Karen.
Uh-huh,
It was not the main Karen. So they actually had lined up older people from the surrounding areas. They had over and above what we had given, more things had been added. It was very thoughtful how that last mile implementation was done. And so that's why Karen was on my list.
You saw how they do things.
Yeah. I had one other club that I was considering, but I mean, because I mentioned it to Margaret first, I didn't even get a chance to call
You were just
them.
grabbed immediately.
It was just grabbed. And the other thing is, when I looked at I asked, so the general demographics of the club, they had higher, older people.
Yes.
And and that's it's given the area that it's located and the way the club was started. And so I felt that there I'll actually work. Like, I'm not going to get lost. I wouldn't just go sit and be comfortable.
Yes.
Because I also like that push.
You're on a move, yeah.
And now, I mean, I'm sitting here as the president.
Yes.
And clearly it is something that it was a good move. I'd call it was a good move. We're very close with the president of Nairobi Connect, Rotarian Athman.
Okay.
And, I'm still connected to that club. I came from there. And so it's one of those things where I'd say, even if you have joined Rotary or you're looking to join Rotary, and you land in a place where you feel like, okay, maybe I can serve better in another location, please do so. Or maybe you've been transferred by your job. Go to that other country. We have a club locator. Look for a club that is next to where you are and keep serving. Because the one thing that I even keep reminding members, it's about serving the community.
Yes.
The community in need where we serve in Kaimurunya Primary School, it's still there. So whether I'm feeling moody, I'm feeling like I don't want to, like today is not the day, I don't want to deliver, or I want to have an argument with Moses over books to be delivered,
The bigger picture is important.
keep it there. And sometimes you're just like, listen, focus. Our theme this year is about creating hope. So just keep focused on the communities and serving, and then get it done. Because there's also a lot of, because people come into the spaces and talk and give all these good ideas. In fact, the quotes we wear when we're going for outreach are written Rotarians at work. Yeah, because we are people of action.
Things have to happen.
Theory, we have a lot of theory from around, but I say in Rotary is where the rubber meets the road.
Make things happen.
Make things happen.
So you've mentioned already that it's been about 7 months or so, and I would want you to maybe to share some reflections around your time as a president. What are the things that are happening? What are the takeaways from this experience? I'm sure there's been a lot of things that maybe you expected, maybe some you didn't. Any thoughts around, the 7 years so far, the 7 months so far, sorry.
All right. Our year starts 1st of July. And one of the things that I would say is we have true Rotarians at heart in our club. We have a certain percentage of people who turn up no matter what. And by turning up, I mean they are there, whether it is we're going down to the ground to do something, they're there. If it is about coming up with the projects and just, finding ways and proposals, they're there. When it comes to giving, they'll either give of their time, their skills, and some their money. Like I mentioned, we do have, our demographics is quite wide, and we have people who we'll call and say, Madam President, I'm not available, but here is, something to be able to go towards the school fees because we have a bursary fund. And one thing I have learned is to focus on the true Rotarians. Just focus on those who are turning up. Focus on those who are doing Rotary right. Because, like I said, we are now 80. When I started the year, we were 101.
So we had a drop-off of over 20.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some voluntary, some we had to remove, right? Because again, you have to remember, as an organization, we have something called Rotarians of Good Standing. It is, we have to carry the brand correctly.
Yes.
Because the impact can be very deep if anything goes wrong.
Yeah.
So that's been really, really a key strength. And the second thing, partner with other clubs, specifically other clubs. I know a lot of the times we reach out to organizations, but partner with other clubs and who have the similar objectives that they're working towards. So we focus on basic education and literacy. We focus on water and sanitation and hygiene. We focus on environment. And so there are clubs around us. Like we just got 1,000 tree seedlings from Rotary Club of Karen, right? And that's because we came together and we had these conversations with the different presidents with their club. And so that's really a strength of Rotary so far. And that's been a big lesson for me so far.
Excellent. What would you say to somebody who's contemplating joining Rotary? What are the things that you think they should consider, perhaps evaluating themselves before they make that jump? Because going back to what you just said about membership, one of the things I've seen consistently, since even as a Rotary actor, so forget even Rotary actor, we see that attrition happen. I think people come in with certain agendas, and then they arrive and they realize, oops, this is not what I thought it was. And that's why sometimes they drop off. So any thoughts around, what to look out for if you're thinking of it, and what are sort of the values or the key principles that keep people in Rotary?
All right. I would say take your time. Take your time before actually becoming a member, because we encourage guests. You can visit a Rotary Club as many times as you would like to visit. And so look for Rotary clubs that are within your vicinity. So we say either close to your home or close to your office, because we meet weekly. And it is this commitment that will keep you going. So once you have visited a number of clubs, find the one that you feel your DNA fits into. Find the one that is focusing on a purpose that you're passionate about. That is also something that will keep you going. And then be very intentional about what's in it for you. Again, I say this not from a selfish point of view, but from the point of view where Rotary can be a lifelong journey, a beautiful journey at that. And then once you plug in focusing on the end game, which is lasting impact on the communities.
Yes.
So enter knowing that I'm doing this to serve and to serve continuously. And I tell you, you'll have a beautiful journey. Yeah.
Fantastic. Are there some specific, as we usually call them, Rotary moments that you've had? It could be in the 7 months you've been, in leadership of the club, maybe in the time you've been in the Rotary Club of Karen. Are there maybe 2 or 3 things that come to mind? Because I always find that these highlights, moments that I remember where you're like, wow, that thing we did, that place we went, that transformation we achieved. Like I'll never forget when we went to the communities in Karen and we helped build the library like at the police station, or the one that we built in Kuinda, over the years. But you just kind of walk back and you're like, wow, without the Rotary, collective, that would never have happened. But there are things that come to mind when you think about the impact. And I'm sure right now, there's some of the projects I'm seeing happening right now in our club that are pretty amazing, like the students at in Kamirunya and the performance? And I don't know, but I'll leave it to you to explain and share what some of the things that you sort of see as key moments during a time in our club.
Yeah. There's we pay school fees for top 3 students in a school called Nkaimurunya Primary School. And this was started by the immediate past president.
Yes.
And just 2 weeks ago, when they were taking the kids to school, one parent called me and was like, "You people don't know what you've done, by sending my child to school."
So let's talk about the Sunshine Rally. You were mentioning something about doing something with a parent and how you help their child in the Sunshine Rally.
All right, so Sunshine Rally is what we call the Christmas of the differently abled children. And so we bring Rotary in our area brings children with special needs together and just has like one big party. And then also there's medical camps that run. We also get them, registered for those who need that support. And so last year at the Sunshine Rally, we took special needs children from Nkaimurunya Primary School. And while I was seated with the parents, and I just asked one of them, "So how do you find this so far?" And the first thing she was like, "First of all, I didn't know that we are so many people going through this, because the numbers last year was about 7,500 students. So you can imagine how Jamhuri Showground was full.
7,500.
Yes, and this year we're looking at having 8,500 at Ulinzi Sports Ground on the 17th of February. And so this parent told me, "I shall never hide my child again. I will not even feel embarrassed about the situation." And to know that there are people who actually care, it's very profound. And so right now we're working to actually over December holidays, we refurbished their class. We put ramps because there were no ramps before. We've now created a special needs toilet where they actually have support and they're able to go to the toilet by themselves.
In a dignified way.
Because before it was just a plastic chair that had been cut a hole and, you had to be supported in. And so those are the moments that remind me, hey, keep doing what you're doing. Keep reaching out to, you become a professional beggar.
Yeah.
Because your friends all the time, buy this raffle ticket, do this and do that. But when you look at the cause, focus on the cause. And then not only just focusing on the cause, be a part of that implementation. It really, really keeps you going. And so for me, those are the Rotary moments that, top of mind. We can get into so many more, but they are, just very profound at this point.
Yeah. So from your point of view, as you look at this club, the Rotary Club of Karen, and maybe the broader Rotary movement in our district, what do you see as sort of being the key things to look out for or to look forward to in the next 2 to 5 years? If you were just sitting there and possibly, who knows, maybe you'd be our next district governor for all we know. What do you think you see happening in the next 2 to 5 years? What are the things that come to mind?
I see bigger projects happening. And this is because starting with the district governor for this year.
Who is, we must say, from our club.
Yes, I am the president of the district governor. A great honor, Leonard Ithao. And he's really pushed us or encouraged us to work as clusters. So clusters is clubs coming together to work towards a project. And so what I see in the next 2 to 5 years is clubs working closer together and being able to just have a more meaningful impact. So we're talking about growing deeper and not just wide right? Not just doing hit and runs. And that's why you'll find in our club, you'll keep hearing Kaimurunya Primary School, because there's still a lot to be done. There's, once you've looked at their water, where we sank a borehole there over 10 years ago, you look at what we're doing now with the special needs unit, you look at what we're doing with the bursary fund. There's a lot more that you can do within the, areas of focus of Rotary, within an environment in such a way that it has a deep impact, so that now it can last longer. And it's really an exciting time to be a Rotarian, I'd say, because the things that the world has shown us,
Especially this COVID period and beyond. Yeah.
COVID just coming and sweeping people and being, confined in spaces, and then you're just like, what exactly is, this life about? Let me go out there, give of myself. I personally believe that we are placed in the positions we are placed in to enable others. And so at any moment, I'm always looking at being, an enabler. Am I helping you get to where you want to go to? Am I helping you just even have a decent life? And how am I using what it is that I'm gifted with to gift others?
Fantastic. As we come to the end of our conversation, and as we think about Rotary and what you've done, I think you've had an amazing year. So much going on. Sometimes it's hard to keep up. Are there any last comments or parting shots that you'd like to share with our audience?
I would say follow your heart. Find your purpose and go for it.
Wow.
Go for it. It might be through Rotary. It might be through another avenue. We like to say we have friends of Rotary. You don't necessarily have to be within the club for you to be able to support, to be able to give. If you're invited to speak to a Rotary club, and maybe usually you charge, you could, forgo the charge and have the conversation with the Rotarians. And this way, I believe that we'll be able to have a better life for all, or let's say for most.
Yes.
And we'll be able to leave a lasting legacy.
Well, thank you so much. I think those are beautiful words you've shared, the Rotary journey, your personal journey. And I think the call to action that it's not just about being within Rotary, that you can also support and be a part of the good things that we're doing in the community. Thank you so much for having this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us for the Rotarians of Karen, episode number 4, the first of 2024 with Kui Githui, our fearless leader of the club, the Rotary Club of Karen. We'll catch you in the next one.